Welcome to our second free counseling session with Trey Cumming. We're calling this 10 Minutes with Trey on Thursdays, or T to the third power. We're hoping this is going to be around 10 minutes where it completely ruins the name of what we're doing. So we'll see how this goes. But Trey, it's always nice talking to you. And question that we have is how do we deal with heightened emotions? People's emotions are all over the place. Some are so overly concerned it brings them into anxiety and fear. Maybe other people their emotions are like, this is ridiculous what's going on, and they're on the complete other side. What do we do with our emotions in this time?
I think one of the most important things to remember is that God actually created us with emotions. So we want to remember that there's a purpose for them. And one of the things that happens is our emotions really are something that give us our drive. If you don't have emotions, you lose your drive. But we don't want them to be in charge of us. If we let them kind of control everything that we do, then we're going to make bad decisions, but wholeheartedly. So you have to kind of temper them with feelings. With your thinking. So when you take your thinking and you use that to test your feelings, then you end up a whole lot better off.
Yeah, my question for you, Trey, is how do you deal with those emotions?
So there are a few things about the emotions. It's kind of like a race car, and a Formula One race car where you've got those front wheels steering and those big back wheels in the back giving it all its power. Your feelings are those big back wheels. Those feelings, they get your car going. Woo! But you need some front wheels to kind of steer where that goes. So what happens is your front wheels are what you're doing and what you're thinking. So you get to control what you're thinking, you get to control what you're doing, and as you're controlling those, then you kind of give direction to those feelings. So now, when you don't deal with your feelings, it's kind of like our trash cans here in Riverside. You know, those trash cans, no matter how good you bag up the trash in them, you can tie them at the top, you put the bags out there in those cans that we roll to the edge, they get this nasty funk in the bottom. So when you're having those feelings and you're not dealing with them, it's like giving that nasty funk. And out here in the Riverside sun, they crack and then all that nastiness leaks out of the bottom of them and it stinks. So anytime that we don't deal with our feelings, then all of a sudden we get that nasty, stinky mess. So what we do is to control those emotions, and to deal with them, we need to reality test them, and we need to use our thinking and change what we think, change what we do, and then those emotions that we have will kind of follow.
Another question that just came to my mind, so you're not prepped for this one, but how do we deal with the emotions of someone else that may be different from us, to make sure that there's still unity in the home, the workplace, because we may be feeling 100% different than a spouse, a roommate, a friend. What thoughts do you have on that?
Sure. One of the things to remember is that you get to be in control of your own thinking and your own feelings and not in control of anyone else's. It's really important to remember that and to keep that boundary. Now, if you have a friend that's having some feelings that are huge, then you can kind of give them a little bit of feedback. You know, wow, you're having some really big feelings, and kind of encourage them to talk about that. Part of owning your feelings is being able to talk about it. And they may not realize it. Their feelings may be huge. They may have been shut up with a toddler in the house for like a week, and their feelings are just crazy. So
What are you talking about?
So that little bit of reality testing you might be able to provide for them, but also giving them space they may see things differently, they may believe differently, and one of the things to do is to kind of give up on changing their feelings. And if yours are different, talk about where yours are. They then get another set of thoughts and feelings that they can then evaluate what they think.
Okay. So our next question for you, Trey, is what else can I do with my thinking to help my feelings?
Okay. One of the things that's really important is to think about what you can change and what you can't. Like in all of this, there's so much that we can't change. And if that's what we focus on, then our feelings are going to be bad. You know, we can't change the course of the virus, but we can change what we do with social distancing, with following regulations. We can change what we do to help with that. You know, we can't change that everyone's buying toilet paper, but we can change how much toilet paper we buy and whether we hoard or whether we buy what we need and share with others when we need it. With that, we can really also look at, we can't change someone else's rudeness. We can't change someone else's mean behavior. We can change the kind of kindness and grace that we approach them with. So all of that is, we can change some of us. We can focus on us. And where we put our focus is huge. If you focus on what you make priority, and if you focus on things that you can do, then your feelings are going to be better. And if you focus on this old list of things that you can't control, then all of a sudden you feel out of control. And with out of control comes fear. And with fear, then you try to worry, and you might start doing some of those things that you're not liking.
What are some simple steps to control our thinking?
So I think one of the big things is to really step back and look at what you're hearing and evaluate whether it's true or not. And when you're having big feelings, test them with your thinking. And then with your thinking, test them against reality. Test them against all the things that you're hearing. Now, if you go to the news, there's news and there's news. So evaluate. Are you hearing someone tell you the facts, or are you hearing someone trying to incite you to worry? Big changes. So you really want to look at that. And then also watch how much you're going to seek that information. We have a lot of things. A virus is small. We don't know what's going on. That fear of the unknown makes us want information. But we can go on information overload. You can get so many different pieces of information that it just gets in the way of you thinking and even figuring out what you think. You can spend all of your time looking for information, and then you don't have time for all those healthy things that we need to be doing, that taking care of ourselves kinds of things.
It is amazing how much our thinking is changed by who we're hanging out with or what we're watching. I mean, I could talk to one person who's extremely nervous, and I find my heart even becoming a little bit more nervous. I can talk to someone who doesn't really think the situation is terribly big. I'm like, I feel a little bit more like, maybe it's not. Mm-hmm. And then I will spend time even looking in God's Word and just reading His thoughts, and I feel a rest and a peace. So it's making sure that we're having the right things, the right people come into our minds and hearts to help us to think the right way, the way that God would want us to in this time.
Absolutely. There's a great verse about that I wanted to share. And it's Philippians 4:7 says, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." And it's that letting God control our thinking and let His peace, even when we don't understand it, even when it's not understandable, be kind of what we focus on.
Yeah, that's a great passage. Next question. So what does it look like when we're talking about the coronavirus?
It's one of those things that, all of those things that we were talking about, figuring out where you get your information is huge. When you're talking about it with someone else, if you're sharing opinion, call it opinion. Don't talk about it like it's fact. And, if you're sharing facts, then say where you got them from so that they can also look at, is that a good thing? Is that not so good? Did you get that from the news, or did you get that from, someone's comedy routine that's telling you about it at the start of some nighttime show?
Yeah, that's important.
So we've all been in isolation for some time now. What are some of the dangers that we could easily fall into that we should be aware of?
I think one of the biggest one is with some isolation, then it's easy to get depressed, especially if you already tend to think that way a little bit, then depression can get a lot worse. So with that, you need to really work on connecting with other people, however you can, on the phone, social media, video chatting, just some way to connect is really big. I think also when people have big emotions, you have to really watch out that they don't do some extreme things to kind of avoid those emotions. You'll see people kind of shut down. On the negative end of things, they might turn to drugs and alcohol and working on kind of numbing those emotions out. Or they might just kind of all of a sudden deny reality and kind of be this, well, nothing's really wrong, everything's good. And so when you get that, then they're just not living in reality, and there's some dangerous sides to that because then they're not going to be doing those things that are keeping us safe.
Well, Trey, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. I just realized that I had my LaCroix thing here the whole time.
It's like
We are not sponsoring them, but they are good, very delicious. And more than anything, we appreciate you. We know that we're in different times, going through different emotions and seasons, and just know for anyone who's watching us, whether you're from the Grove family or you just stumbled on our website, we want to care for you. You can join us online at the Grove for our services this weekend, Saturday at 4 p.m., Sunday at 9 and 10:45. And we also have a counseling department at the Grove Corner where you can call and you can either make an appointment or even have a phone appointment with a counselor like Trey, who would love to help you deal with your emotions the right way, the way that God would want us to in this time. So God bless you, and hope this was a blessing for you.
Thanks, Trey.